this is Julie with Beadaholique, and in this video I want to show you how to wire wrap beads onto an open frame pendant, and the pendant is by Nunn Design. So here's a couple finished examples. Here we've used some gemstone chips, which are really pretty, 3 different strands of them, and they've been wire wrapped onto the frame. And then in this one there's some little brass beads that have been wire wrapped onto the frame as well, so a very different look, even though it's the exact same technique. So to do this, we're going to need an open frame pendant, and there's actually quite a few to choose from in different finishes. So there's hexagons, both small and large. There's rounds, again, small and large. And then there's squares. So you have a lot to choose from. And I'm going to do the hexagon right here because I thought this would be a good one to show in a video because it can be a little more challenging than a square or a round. So what you'll need is some 24 gauge wire. I just have some craft wire, and then some beads. I have little coconut wood beads. I'm kind of going for like a boho look, which will be great to incorporate the wood beads. Tools, you're going to need a pair of flush cutters, and then have on hand a chain nose plier. I don't know if you're going to need it always, but it's good to have on hand when you're working with wire. We're going to start by cutting a length of wire. Now the amount of wire you need is really going to be based upon how many rows you're going to create. So you'll see here, this was just 3 rows. Here we have 5 rows. Of course, the 5 rows is going to require a lot more wire than the 3. So it's also going to be dependent upon what size beads you have. The smaller bead, we're able to do more rows. The bigger beads, fewer rows. Since I really don't know how many rows I'm going to create when I'm starting a project like this, I'm going to just make sure I cut enough wire to begin with. In this case, I want to do about 30 inches. I've been doing this for a little bit, so I didn't really feel like I needed to measure it out because I'm just approximating. But if you feel better, measure it with a ruler. So take one end of your wire, the tail, and we are going to wrap it around the side. And I'm going to go from this side to create a diagonal look. So I'm just going to hold one end of it and wrap it. And I'm going to do 3 nice, neat wraps. I'm just feeding it through the center. Okay, now I've got this tail, and I want the tail to live on the inside. So I'm actually going to take my chain nose, and I'm just going to push that tail so it's nice and flat, and curl it to the inside, and pull it. So by keeping that tail the way I kept it, I actually ended up with an additional wrap. I'm just going to cut now that end off so I don't have to worry about it. So you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I ended up with 4 wraps because of that tail got looped around. You can do 3, you can do 5, you can do however many wraps you really want. I would recommend at least 3 though to get you a really nice solid foundation to start with. So now I'm going to go ahead and string my beads. I'm going to make sure this wire comes up this side because I'm going to stretch it across. So I'm just going to take the tail of the wire and string on beads. Now at this point, since I'm just beginning this project, I don't know how many I'm going to need. And these beads being wood, they're a little bit irregular, which is the look I wanted, but it does make it difficult to say, oh, string 15 beads or string 20. If you were doing Mayuki Delicas or something like that, you would be able to know exactly how many beads you'd want to string each time. So I'm going to need some more. Do 1 more to begin with. See what I end up with. Okay. So I stretched that across, and I like that. That's just about perfect. So now I'm going to, so you see the wire, it came up and around here and across. So now I'm going to wrap it around and then through. Now you don't want your wire to kink, So kind of pay attention to it as it's coming through. If you need to, just put your finger between it, the loop right here, and that will help so it doesn't kink. So now let's go around again. You want to go around at least twice to make sure it's secure, but it's really up to you if you want to keep going around more than that for a decorative element. Okay, so I'm going to go around one more time. Now you'll notice this time I'm on this side. So now I'm going to string these guys across. And you could actually create a really interesting design if you used a contrasting color bead for every other row. Just one little designer tip there. Now I'm going to go ahead and thread some more on. See what I'm at? I have one too many. I'll just pull it off. There we go. And I'm going to wrap it around again. And I'm trying to do pretty tight wraps because once this is done, I want it to just lay nice and flat and I want it to look really even. Now you don't have to do that. You can do a messy look if you want to. If you can't tell, I'm trying to definitely say, do what you want with these. There's a lot of different possibilities. I love working with wire because it's so flexible and you really can let your creativity take over. Okay, so I've got 2 rows. I'm going to do another one. Too many there. Slide off that one, those guys. And I'm back to that other side. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to do this actually off camera. I'm going to make a few more rows because it's the exact same technique the whole way through. And then when I get to where I'm happy with it, I'm going to come back and I'll show you how to finish it off. But you just keep doing rows, and honestly you could stop right now if you wanted to and that could be your look, or you could keep going, and I'm going to do a few more. So I'll see you in a few. I've done a couple more rows and now I'm going to do my last one and show you how to finish off the wire. So you see what it looks like. I've got 3 on each side. It really doesn't matter the number. It's really more about the aesthetic and what it looks like. So I just want to do one more. So I have that nice solid grid along the front. Okay. Slide my beads down. I have 1 too many. So this is what it's going to look like. And I'm just going to wrap the wire around the edge the same way I've done my other wrappings. Nothing special about it. Except for that bead is escaping me. If your beads do that, just scoot them back in place. That's the beauty of working with wire. There we go. So a nice tight wrap around. I'm going to wrap again. And I'm going to do then 1 more into the middle of it. So you want to make sure you have at least 2 to 3 wraps here so it stays secure. Now I'm going to wrap it on the inside. So now it's coming out. And right here I'm going to snip it. And that's important because I don't want that loose wire out on this outside edge where it might catch on some clothing. So I'm just going to snip it. And I'm done. So that is what this piece looks like. All I would need to do is add some chain. And before I sign off here, I want to show you one other little thing. Here's this piece that Carlin did. And these look great, all scooted down and in a row. But don't forget you can also space them differently. You can have them at a diagonal. It doesn't have to be neat and even. really play with these. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do with these. You can find these open frame pendants by Nunn Design, as well as all the beads and chain you're going to need to finish them off with at Beadaholique.